All right. I'm with Ian Villers. Okay, so I did Gavello the other day, and I'm going to start you out with a lot of the same questions.
Good.
But you're an East Bay guy. Giants or A's growing up?
I'm going to say Giants.
Oh, is that the politically?
I don't know.
Who were your favorite players when you were a kid? Like who are the guys that you
Again,
really enjoyed?
just Giants. Just Giants.
Excellent response. A lot of Bay Area guys in the Giants organization. Actually, did you grow up playing with or against guys travel ball or whatnot?
Honestly, the only one that I can recall that I did play against would be Armani Smith, my freshman year when he was at Santa Barbara, and obviously me at Cal. Besides that, I knew of Harrison, didn't know if he knew of me, just because I was a year or two older than him.
Yeah.
But obviously heard his name right out the gates from sophomore year at De La Salle, how he was lighting up numbers and all that jazz. So besides that, I mean, again, Gavello, like I've known, I think 7 or 8 of his close friends, and I was close friends with those dudes, but we just never matched. But a lot of different organizations out there that I know.
Yeah, Armani, great guy.
Great guy.
I remember him talking about the Phils were in here at one point, and McGreevy was pitching for him. He was like, "Oh yeah, I played travel ball with him." Yeah. It's good seeing the Bay Area.
Small world out there. It's good.
You were drafted out of high school, but then you chose to go on to Cal. Was that anything you seriously considered going pro at that time, or?
Yes, I just saw the weight in the degree though. Coming from 2 parents that also went to Cal for grad school, I just kind of felt like, the academics did mean a lot more than some other people saw. But get that degree from Cal, and you can kind of do whatever you want in your world.
That's true. What were your parents? What did they do? What were their degrees in?
My dad was Haas School of Business, went there for grad school, and then my mom went there for tech and history, but she dropped out after a year or 2 to start the family.
My oldest brother is at a conference right now at Cal, and he just sent me a text and said he learned today that Cal is the oldest business school in this country founded by a woman.
Interesting. I had no clue. I knew it was a heck of a business school, number 1 in the world for public schools, but hey, good for her.
Obviously, what was then the Pac-12.
Yep.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, except for 2 teams that are lingering around. It's the Pac-2 now.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome baseball environment. As a closer at Cal, what were some of the great memories, great games, kind of experiences you had in that college environment?
Well, just to kind of sum it up, I would say, 1, the yearly Cal went across the country, or basically to a bigger Power 5 school.
Yeah.
So my freshman year, we were able to go out to LSU. I think I threw 1 out there, so that was fun. Sophomore year, we went to TCU for a weekend series, and then junior year, we were supposed to open up at Florida with their new $100 million whatever dollar complex. We got kicked out for Miami, so that was a little bit of a stab in the back. But I mean, probably the coolest memory besides the camaraderie between the teammates would have to be pitching against those, either top prospects, big schools, whatever it was. Because my freshman and sophomore year, UCLA, Stanford, Oregon State were all ranked in the top 5. So freshman year, being able to go up to some of those, Stanford dudes that were really good that you see in the league now, or pitching against Adley Rushman, Spencer Torkelson, Bishop, our own teammate from AAA. But I mean, besides the camaraderie and just like the team building that you do at a university, I would say just the competitive atmosphere that we were able to, put our feet into.
I mean, that's a big deal, right? Because confidence is so much a part of this game. You say, well, that guy went top 10 in the first round. I pitched against him.
Yep.
I can get him out.
Yep.
That's a big thing coming into pro ball, right?
And then even on our own team, we had 2 first-rounders my freshman year, filtered with some other dudes that went in the top 10 rounds. So those fall ball inter-squads, you definitely got slapped around a little bit.
So you come into pro ball, and not immediately, but pretty quickly, you go down. And then it's a long slog to get back. I don't know if it matters kind of as a pitcher when you get hurt. It's always going to suck. But was it like, I just got here?
Yeah, 100%. It was definitely kicking the, not trying to be rated R or anything, but kick right in the balls. So that was a tough part, especially just like the first round of elbow rehab was a passive recovery that ended up just not working.
Right.
But having dudes in the corner such as York, Matt Yorkin, now our assistant pitching coordinator, him being in your corner, he knows a lot about the game, mental, on the field, off the field. So, I mean, his biggest quote for me was like, time's your best friend as well as your worst enemy. If you go about this 100%, you're going to come out a better pitcher, but you go about it being lazy, you're going to regret every minute that you had in rehab. So being around dudes such as that from like the staff side, but then being around big leaguers that were also in rehab, some of them coming from Cal, Trevor Hildenberger, Brett Cumberland. Cumberland was a AAA dude, but Hildenberger seeing the other side of the major leagues, Cumberland being right there, having two, Bay Area dudes in rehab with me. If I had any questions or any problems, I'd go straight up to them, and it was honestly like a family. So I didn't like seeing 65 people in rehab at one time, but it was a big family of a brotherhood.
I don't think people really, obviously, have any idea, like, how many people are down there working to help injured players through the roughest part of their career. Obviously, you mentioned Matt Yorkin, who's the rehab coordinator, but, like, how many people down there are kind of in your camp helping you get back to here?
I mean, on the rehab side, you obviously have the guys that are head honchos, so you have 2 or 3 guys always floating around that aren't going to be as hands-on, but then you probably have Yorkin, who's now the coordinator, was the pitching coach in rehab or whatever his title properly was. So him plus 2 or 3 analytical guys, then 5 to 6 trainers, whether that be on payroll or just interns that come from a local college or across the country. So I'd say 10 to 15 staff members that are helping you at all times.
Very little glory in that, but a lot of satisfaction.
Yes.
So when you're coming back from surgery, you have the passive that didn't go well, then you have the surgery. What are like the mental mile marks? Do you do like, I want to get to here, I want to get to here, or what's the process of getting through
For
that?
sure. There's small ones and then there's big ones, such as when you have elbow surgery. I got my hamstring taken out, so for the first 2 weeks I was pretty much just horizontal or limping around. So once I got off of that, that was one of the minor mile marks that I was happy to get through, and I can go back to my day-to-day life, walking the dog, whatever it was. But then with the elbow, honestly, like the first, I think it was 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere in that time frame, you can't use your arm at all. So again, like another small mile marker was getting past that 6 to 12 weeks, and you can start lifting with your right arm and your whole body. But then after that, the major ones would probably just getting that first bullpen, that last bullpen, the first live at bat, the second live at bat, then obviously followed that is games. So there's big ones, but I would say the biggest one for me was getting back on that slope or the mound and actually throwing with some intent, probably 75%. That was like when my heart stopped being so anxious 24/7. I was like, okay, I can fully try to trust the doctor now. So it took a while, but obviously that first stint I got all the way up to 100% bullpens just to feel the same exact pain and press the restart button. But after I got surgery through the bullpens, I was kind of that like, whew, I can breathe again, go play some baseball and just have some fun with it.
I remember talking to Keaton Wynn after he was kind of in the same place. And he said the thing that was so hard or kind of mess with your mind is like one day your range of motion is like, pretty good, you're feeling good, and the next day it's like, what happened here? It's
You definitely get second guessing in there sometimes, and you have to make sure, like I said, those 15 staff members, you go up to them and you're like, hey, I'm hurting, man, can you fix this for me? And 90% of the time they can, or just take the day off or prolong it. Like I said, time's your best friend as well as your worst enemy, but being down for at least 12 months, you can take a day or 2 off and be just fine on the back end.
When you actually get back and you're throwing, you're on the mound, you're throwing, how do you work through the thing in your brain that says, is this going to hurt?
I just would have to, personally, for most of San Jose, if not like at least for the first 2 months getting back into games, I didn't have that full conviction.
Yeah.
But then that just hit one day and you get through that door and you're like, all right, thank you, God. Like I can actually feel my arm again, and like it's getting sore in better spots, whereas previously it'd just be pretty harping on the elbow, maybe the bicep and the tricep, but now it kind of feels like the soreness is lingering, but lingering in the proper spots now. So it took me, a few months of games and building a routine again to fully trust the arm on a daily basis. Because, as pitchers, you throw twice a week as relievers, once a week, maybe twice a week as a starter. But with that being said, trying to find out what routine works for you definitely does take some time.
I saw you, I guess it was last May, on the complex. And I think that was one of your fairly early turns back. How long was it from official game to official game for you?
August 2022, that would have been surgery. So that was April 2022 to probably August 2023 was the first time I faced hitters. So that would be a year and 6 months, and then breaking the finger, prolong that a little bit longer to games. But I was able to throw against Luciano and some other good guys that are actually, big name prospects. Luciano took me about 400 feet, so that's all part of it. But in game, I would say live at bats aren't game, but you treat it as a game. So probably about 16 to 18 months, somewhere in there.
So when you get into action 2024 and you're kind of like going through this whole process of like feeling like yourself again, did you get to the end of that season and say, okay, now I can like have a regular winter, start thinking about how to develop my game, or were you still kind of like working on the physical stuff?
Definitely took a deep breath and said, okay, the season's over. I'm happy that I made it through it. But just with how the season turned out, I felt, pretty anxious about getting into the off season and just getting back to work. But there was definitely a cool thank you, Lord, that my arm doesn't hurt anymore and I can just have a full off season. And, definitely more baseball dominant, just worrying about baseball getting into 2025. Yeah. But with that being said, it definitely was a relaxation in the sense of like my arm doesn't hurt. I don't have to be in rehab. I live in Arizona. I go to the facility, but I don't have to be there at 9:30 every single day, every single off day, all that jazz. So it was good.
So from a pitching, just a skills perspective, where do you feel you are now after you've been through all this, and now you can like think about who you are as a pitcher and your skill set?
I mean, once you get through the rehab and now I have full conviction in all my pitches, it's definitely fun to recognize that you're not all the way there, and like you have more work to do. But now that I can trust my elbow, the work's fun. You know what I mean? You're not sitting there saying, oh, I have to do 60 throws today, mixing some splitters, some sliders, some two seams, whatever it is, things that you use your arm and your ligaments in different ways. Now you can just go out there and enjoy it. Go rip the heck out of the baseball.
Are those, you say the splitter, the slider, the two seam, those are your three main pitches,
and then
right?
I have a four seam as well, but those four right there, yeah.
How do you think about the two fastballs, like playing off? How do you try and use them?
The two seam, I would definitely say I would like more horizontal run, or just basically running into a righty away from a lefty. And then my four seam, I would like to play at the top of the zone just because it has more vertical, induced vertical break. So with that being said, it just goes this way, and then my two seam will try to go this way. Sometimes they blend together, but that's what we're working on, right?
The four seam, the two seam, and the splitter seem like a great sort of tripod combination.
They've been working so far, so as long as I can clean it up a little bit, we'll get better.
The last thing that comes back, they always say, is command. That's like the thing that takes for a while to get the familiarity. Do you feel like you're getting there with the command of your stuff now?
I do feel like I'm definitely getting there, right? I definitely know that there's more work to do. But for example, last year in San Jose, there would be days where I had no clue where it was going, and then some days where I would have no clue where the fastball would be going, but then the slider I can land wherever I want it. So definitely it's basically throwing with a new arm again. You know what I mean? So after 2 years off, pick up baseball and learn it all over. So it's part of it, though. That's the blessing of having a great surgeon, and he takes care of it.
That's right. It's like throwing with someone else's arm. That's what they always say.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I saw, like I say, I saw you when you were just coming back. Now I get to see you here last night. It's good to see you got up here, relatively quickly, and I think good things are coming for you.
It's been a blessing, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to see where you go from here.
Appreciate that.
All right. Appreciate you taking some time to talk.
Of course, have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.